So I'm continuing my theme about experience and looking at my experience. And it's interesting to stay on this topic and think about my daily life and the different states of mind that come up, and just try to put them all in these two categories of karma and attitude, or it's like I don't really want to put them all in that. That's what I'm seeing. It's like I don't naturally attribute my experience to those two things. And so it's been interesting to kind of stay with that in my thinking, and then look at what happens in my day. And I guess what I find is that the immediate moment and moments of some kind of reaction that are more on the side of an affliction, that really are an affliction, they never feel like those two things. That always feels rather solidly like someone else's fault. And so it's really good to have the space to spend time in the meditation hall and to have a daily practice where you can actually reflect on these things instead of being kind of just taken away by them. And it would be so easy to not see a lot of these things very clearly. I can just so much recall sitting, listening to Venerable teach and saying, I've never really felt that. I've never really thought that. And then I know that many people, when they first start to meditate, it's quite nice for many people till they hit about 3 months. And then they tend to start seeing their mind a little more clearly and having some what's that word? It's disconcerting at the least, And so I find this even after years now of practice to be, it's kind of the same. It really is, as my teacher has described, these states of mind that I never thought I had really do come, and some of them are very fleeting, but the thought is there. There is that thought, like, I don't consider myself a person that has much, like, the feeling of revenge, but I actually find that thought will come briefly, and it's not, I don't really act on those much if I'm on top of things. But many of the things that she said where I kind of would sit there like, I don't think so, now I'm kind of realizing that that's a lot has to do with a level of clarity of mind and having the space and time to actually look at your mind. And so I guess the thing that's been the most surprising to me this week is reading something about having the ability to focus your attention and have a very concentrated mind, and kind of the stages that we naturally go through, and it quite relates to this experience that I'm talking about, because what they describe there is that, first, just like we've been taught previously, first you get kind of rid of the gross afflictions, and then the more moderate ones, and keeps getting more refined and more refined. And what I didn't really understand is that it takes a great amount of effort, even as the things get more and more refined. And I remember being taught this, and I was always thinking, wow, it should be the opposite. They should be getting finer and finer, so it should take less and less energy. That was my natural thought about it. But it's not really what I'm experiencing, and it's not what they're teaching. And so I guess what I find hopeful in that is to realize that my experience is that this takes a lot of effort to see these things in the mind, and not to just follow the distorted way of thinking that's arising with any affliction, because afflictions are always characterized by distortion, but you don't know it when you're in it. And so just being able to come back and really acknowledge, try to calm myself enough to have more clarity to see things. So I don't really have to get freaked out. Yes, these things are definitely in my mind, that I used to sit there and like, I don't think so, And that actually, what that is a reflection of actually being able to see more. So you could get freaked out and say, oh, I'm a terrible person, I have these thoughts. But it's really, what it's more about is that with a lot of effort all the way through, and to, getting your mind to be calm is going to be a lot of effort to suppress. That's what the effort is about, is to suppress these distorted ways of thinking, basically. So I think it's helpful for me to know, to have my expectations about my daily practice and my experience to be kind of in line with reality. And so the expectation I need to hold is that it will be effort, and that it's good, just as we've always been taught, when things come up, it's good, it's a sign of progress, because you're actually seeing the dirt in your room that you want to sweep out. If you never see it, you will never clean your room. So, I think it's good to have a realistic expectation, and I'm so amazed how unrealistic my thoughts were before I studied Buddhism and had really, even though I read about Buddhism for a long time, but before I really had proper guidance, I had really a lot of thoughts that enlightenment was going to be quick, and all these things are going to happen fast, and they were going to get easier with time. And those are the kind of things, if you hold on to those views, they'll kind of send you out down the road, and you might give up your practice because it's not meeting your expectations. You're not, because the expectations aren't realistic to what the great masters have seen and written. So that's how I try to make sense of my experiences, try to use the teachings and look at my experience.